better yourself, man. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you, Fon Christ. How's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I know just before we start, I know there's a lot of Michael Jackson fan there. Some of them are happy. Some of them they're like, "What the hell? This guy gonna talk about? Relax. This is just a conversation between, Moonwalker. You know, right? We're just gonna talk, and then you're just gonna tell me why. Maybe you might change my mind today. So the first thing I want to tell you, I want to ask you, how long have you been a Michael Jackson fan? Because that's really important.
I've been a Michael Jackson fan for the last 30 years.
That's
30
good, man.
years.
You're lucky. You know why? If you told me you've been Michael Jackson fan for 10 years, people was gonna give you all the smoke. Yeah, he's just new, he just arrived, he's just one of those guys, he's a new fan. 30 years ago, yo, that's good. That means you're solid.
Oh
But
yeah, I'm definitely a moonwalker for life. I mean, I showed you off camera though. I had showed you the picture of my MJ tattoo, my dedication that I got to him.
yeah, I saw that. Dope.
Yeah, huge
So
MJ fan, huge MJ
that's
supporter.
so you never change your mind actually after all these false accusations, like still the same. You still love Michael, right? So we
Still
just
love Michael no matter what.
yeah, so we're just gonna go straight to the point. So let's go back to June 25th, right? June 25th, Michael Jackson passed away, and you found out. So, what was your reaction like? What was
My
your reaction?
reaction, my reaction when I first heard it, I'm not gonna lie, it hit me like it was my own family. I mean, it was like losing, that favorite uncle or that favorite cousin or something. It was just like it felt so close to home to the point it really, really, really just hurt me a lot.
Really?
And I mean, there's no real way to describe it besides just feeling real hurt behind it because, this is somebody that I looked up to my entire life, even tried to emulate, tried to be like. And, to lose him, it really hurt so much.
Yeah, man, crazy. So, in that point, you found out Michael Jackson is dead, and you were sad like all of us. And what actually make you believe? What start making you question yourself? Like, you know what? I think there's something wrong about his death. So, in what point you actually start having that this kind of thought?
Well, one of the first things that honestly gave me those thoughts was the fact that, of course, on June 25th, the LA lead coroner, Craig Harvey, had given a press conference. And during that press conference, this is the same day that everything went down and everything happened. And during that press conference, he had announced to the crowd that was out there watching that it was going to be a 4 to 6 week deference on, the autopsy for Michael Jackson. Now,
Yeah,
4 to 6 weeks, and that was the very first thing that actually stood out to me was 4 to 6 weeks was to go by before they actually got the body back to the family to actually have a funeral. So how were they planning a funeral on July 7th, 2009? If he was to have that body for 4 to 6 weeks, then the funeral was not the funeral, but the memorial was 1 week and a half away after he made that announcement.
yeah. So I think for you it was more like you want to say like the date it was too much gap. That's what you're trying to say, or you were
Like what
short.
I'm saying is it just doesn't add up. It just didn't add up because if he's saying that they would have been doing all of these studies for 4 to 6 weeks and the memorial was a week and a half away, how was there any potential possibility that there was anybody there within the memorial setting?
Oh yeah, I get it. Because yeah, I think yeah. So in that point, that's when you start thinking like, okay, maybe there's something, maybe. And when you watch the memorial, what was your reaction like when you see the whole thing? At that point, was you 100% sure like MJ was still alive?
See, I had the thoughts in my head. Don't get me wrong, I had the thoughts in my head, but of course, it's not something you speak out loud about, especially when you first think something like that.
Yeah,
And then, of course, watching the memorial, you don't see anything wrong to begin with. All you just feel is immense sadness because why? To the naked eye, I mean, you see that it's supposed to be Michael Jackson actually being gone. So, of course, to the naked eye, seeing that, it brings you immense sadness, and any thoughts that you had previous to that actually diminished. It's once I decided to go rewatch the memorial on YouTube and then discovered a whole new world of things that I never actually thought I would see regarding that memorial.
Okay, so okay, for you, if he fake is that, what do you think he did that for? Like, what do you think gonna be the motivation? Because when I was actually one of the lucky person to go to the Auto Arena when he do the This Is It. And as I said to you guys, to one of my podcasts, he was kind of forced to do the show, but he actually wanted to do that because he wanted to say goodbye to the fans. So, what do you think he actually, what made him actually just change his mind and ran away from that promise after people bought so many tickets?
I mean, I don't think that he actually ran away. It's like, to explain it properly, this was something that was planned way before he actually made an announcement to do this concert. And that's
Really?
one thing that fans actually don't actually realize, that he did plan this way before. Like, if you do a lot of research and look back, a lot of this stuff was in talk since the early 1990s. And the scary thought is, I didn't even know that that actually existed until I did my research.
So do you think, like, I think he did plan one day he's gonna do it, but he didn't know like it was gonna happen like in 2009, you wanna say?
And that's exactly it.
Mm. But I mean, like, do you think when he was on stage that time during the DCC, he knew like that was not gonna happen, or it was more like, okay, whatever happened?
Like, you can see it in his face that day that something wasn't right, and you can
Yeah,
just see that he wasn't happy. And it's not even, and I said this in my most recent video that I did create, that I don't think it was the fans that made him unhappy. It was the sense of him feeling forced and pushed. And it
yeah,
wasn't anything that the
correct.
fans did wrong. It was a lot of the things that was going on behind the scenes that actually made him even feel more compelled to move on with his life from this whole music thing, even though he loved us.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. So yeah, so at that point they actually make you believe. But what about his kid? Do you think how? I mean, the only thing sometimes I ask myself is like, how do you think it's possible for somebody? I don't know if anybody ever did that, like to fake your death and then to change everything. So how is it possible? Do you think there's a lot of people in Hollywood? That's the only question I ask myself. I'm sure they have like a close friend that actually know about it. So how come nothing ever come out?
That's
Nothing.
the whole thing, though, with being a good friend. You keep secrets, right? That's the one thing they
Michael Jackson
expect you to do, is actually
didn't have
keep.
good friends for what we can remember. He never have. I mean, he didn't have good friends, and the
That's
media
the
always
thing.
against him. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. There are certain people around him that does know. His children, for sure, definitely knows. I mean, his daughter, especially Paris, she was one of the people that actually was very adamant in showing us that there were signs still out there that Michael was still walking the face of this planet.
Yeah, but when you think about his mother crying and everything, so for you guys, do you think that that was just like them trying to play part of it, or somehow that's the only thing sometimes you're trying to hold me back as well. When you see the parent reaction, Catherine Jackson, sometimes he's sad, she cry, or there's a lot of emotion when you see the Jackson. Do you think like
I
this?
don't I don't honestly think that that emotion was fake, though. I mean, it's kind of hard to fake that sort of emotion, because in the long run, knowing that eventually they do have to say goodbye to him, and it wasn't goodbye in the sense that he was totally cutting them off. The fact that they had to show publicly that he actually was gone, and them showing that sort of emotion actually helped acknowledge that he was gone, which pushed, I don't want to use the word narrative, because that's a bad word, but it helped push the narrative even further, that, wow, this is serious, this is real.
Yeah, but I know you do a lot of research because I know there's a lot of fans out there, like the believers. That's why. Do you describe yourself as a believer as well?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, do you describe yourself as a believer as well?
I don't describe myself as a believer any further, because the word believe has the root word lie in it.
Yeah.
So I did a little research on that recently, and I was like, wow, to keep saying that I'm a believer, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a believer, but there's a difference between believing and knowing.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say is, I learned the difference between the two, and believing and knowing is way different. Because to believe it is something that's false. You're
Yeah.
believing something that's false. And I'm not believing in something that's false. I'm believing in something that's actual and factual.
All right. So, because I know a lot of friends as well that actually do exactly what thing I do. So when you talk about the video that you actually do online, because I know you do a lot of investigation, on YouTube. So what was the purpose behind it? Is more like, do you want to are you trying to do research just for yourself, or you just trying to find if you really did it so you can actually, tell people, what, MJ is still alive? Because sometimes I ask myself if maybe if he did it, maybe he didn't want to come back, or it was just a secret. But do you think, like, what's the purpose behind this? It's more like a personal investigation, or it just, you know?
I mean, it started out with me as a fan wanting to share information with other fans, and it just took a mind of its own after that. I mean, after that, it started becoming where's the next video? Where's the next videos? And it's like the more and more I was being asked for more videos, the more and more it made me research even harder and even further. So I thank the viewers for that one. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't still be here making these videos 11 years later and still researching.
Mm, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I completely understand what you say, because a lot of people, they have that problem when people get attached to what you do, and they just want to go to the next one, and now they start believing in whatever you actually believe. But are you like kind of 100% sure, or is it more like you are 50-50 still, or year by year you're like, you feel like, oh, you know what, this is true, actually, this is, you really did it?
I believe that he actually did it. No doubt in my mind that he actually did it.
What do you think? What do you think is the purpose? Like, do you think just like to escape, like to escape his life, or there's a lot of reason? Because I
I
know,
mean,
yeah,
one of his main reasons I will say found Christ is, think about this one. Imagine coming into the music industry as a child, 5 years old, dedicating 45 years of your life, never
mm,
having any personal space or privacy from anyone, from the media, from us fans, from nowhere.
yeah,
People were parachuting onto his property, for Christ's sake. So it's like the sort of privacy that we, take for granted every day, he never had at all. He never enjoyed a normal day without us fans or the media or something coming up where we would be in his way. I'm not saying in his way in a negative way, but in the sense of, oh, wow, I want to go out and go get ice cream. I can't do that because I know my fans are going to want to see me. So
yeah,
it's like never having those opportunities to really do it. And people think just because he had Neverland, that put him into isolation. As
yeah.
beautiful
It's
as
like
the
now,
place was,
where we are right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
like as beautiful as the place was, it put him into isolation because fine, he had everything there he wanted, but then it kept him from the outside world, and it also kept him from enjoying other experiences that he could have enjoyed if he wasn't in the
yeah.
entertainment industry.
Definitely, Neverland was not enough, because when you think about one thing, like now, we can say we kind of experiencing what is happening. Like now, I'm locked for 14 days. I'm sure like you have some type of limitation as well. I don't know if you're already locked. No, not yet, right? And like the whole country is like locked down over here, so
Oh
people are staying
wow.
in the house, and they're not going out really. So I have everything in my house, but I feel like I'm in jail. Is it kind of the same thing as what Michael Jackson have? You have Neverland, you have everything, but when you cannot go outside to meet other people, that you still kind of fucked up, because you don't know what is happening outside, and you're just different, you know. That's how it feels. That's how I understand exactly when you say you have everything. Many people used to think like because you have Neverland, I mean, there's no reason for him to try to escape or anything. Because I remember Michael Jackson, every morning he was traveling to other country, he used to go to the hotel, and because he really wanted to move from Neverland to trying to find like a place that looks more like a family place than rather than his own world that he actually created. You know, actually, I
Right,
understand.
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I see your point, but do you think if he ever done it, do you think he done it because he wanted to show something to somebody, or if he done it more like for personal reason, or you maybe want to come back because I see a lot of fans like every year there's okay, he's gonna come back in 2000, he's gonna come back in this year. It's just, do you think he's planning to do like a big comeback,
A big comeback as in
as in like,
now or
yeah, like in the future, anytime, like now or maybe in 2 years? It's like a big
no.
event. Like,
I don't believe he would actually come back. I don't believe so.
you don't believe so?
No.
Do you have a lot of challenge online as well? Because I know a lot of people go after Believer. I was one of them as well. I used to.
It's all good. Trust me, I know.
I think now the tension is not like it used to be now, right?
Yeah, the tension is so much different now. So, you know, in the long run, no matter whether you're a believer or non-believer, we're all MJ fans.
Yeah.
We're
I
all
mean,
MJ fans, so when we love him just the same.
but because I see the funeral and I see a lot of people using the picture, certain people that was there. Do you think he wasn't a funeral? He wasn't his own funeral as well? Because I see there's a lot of picture people sharing online. I
There's
used
a possibility that he was there, but there's no credible proof that he was there besides the photos that we actually found of oddball-looking people within the audience that you can see blatantly have weird. I'm not comparing anyone's looks. This is no shade or anything,
I see people
Fontai.
everywhere.
But some of the people that were there, it obviously looked like something was not right. Like they might have been wearing a mask or something. So of course, anything that looked odd got pointing out or highlighted.
All right, just gonna ask you an honest question, right? So
Sure.
Michael Jackson is deaf. They're doing like what do you call it? Um, you see his body, they showed the body, but that body picture, it was shocking, but it wasn't as shocking as when they showed the autopsy. So when you see the autopsy picture, so how did you feel that time?
When I saw the autopsy photo, I said that is not MJ at all. At all. Like there's no way in hell. And then comparing, of course, you can still compare, and people will say, "Oh, how are you comparing a corpse to a live person?" You can still compare them because they still have a face. They still have a face to compare from. They still have hands and limbs. You can see his hands on the stretcher. Those hands are not MJ's hands. If you look at MJ's hands, you can see his fingernails. Of course, him being a black man like you and I, his nails are a lot darker than the average person's nails. My nails are a lot darker. My nails are like MJ's.
Yeah,
Black folks, we have melanin within our skin, and it also contains under our nails as well. And
yeah,
MJ had a lot of melanin under his nails. That corpse did not.
yeah. I get it. I mean, but you didn't feel some type of way, like, oh, like me when I said, I was like, I mean, I was struggling to believe it was MJ, but just like see Michael Jackson dead, he's believing he's dead, yeah, but see the picture, that's like very shocking, you know. I mean, that was good
Yeah,
for you. The fact you actually, when you saw the picture, you didn't even have a second thought, like you just said to yourself straight away, nah, that's not MJ.
I
Even
said that's not
what
him.
about the picture in the ambulance? Because I know a lot of people did a lot of Photoshop about it. Do you think it was him?
That was not him either. Oh man, that photo that was put out by what the hell, Ben
Mhm.
Evanstad of TMZ, that was just ridiculous. I mean, the photo that he knows he actually caught was actually released, and it was a blurred photo, but you could kind of see into the ambulance and actually see MJ's face sitting within that ambulance,
He was sitting.
sitting up within the ambulance,
Really?
sitting up with, yes, you can see it within one of my. See, I'm gonna send you a link after
Yeah, you
we
send me the link.
do.
I'll put in the podcast. So
Yeah, you have to see this
anybody want to watch
because
it, I'll put a link
you
there.
can see this particular photo where you can see his face and he's sitting up through the window versus the photo that was put out where he's laid on the stretcher. If you let me inbox you this, you're
No,
gonna be like, wow. You
yeah.
can see the difference between the two photos. The original photo was a fat balding guy laying there on that stretcher, and they photoshopped MJ's face on it.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
No disrespect to heavyset people because I
No,
said fat balding guy, but
no, it's so good, man. So yeah, I remember that because I remember there was a video as well of people. I don't know. I think that was fake of the ambulance when they went to the hospital and it was in the dark. They saw somebody coming out and they changed a car or something like that. I think that was fake. Remember that video?
people say it was faked just because our RTL tried to quickly hop on it and say that, oh, this video is fake and this is how we did it. The van in the video and the van in the quote unquote breakdown in the what did they call it? Yeah, I'll just call it a breakdown. The breakdown of what they did was try to explain how they put it together, and nothing in their video matched up to the original video that was released
Oh yeah, yeah, true.
at
Because
all. The lettering on their van didn't match the lettering on the van that MJ got out of. The lights that they had on top of the van didn't match up to the lights that was on top of the van that MJ got out of. You can
damn,
see
and
the
we go in
you
detail.
can see the difference.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say. If you guys have any doubt, to just make sure I'll put some link. You guys can say go to his channel and to check it out. So I know exactly you talk about a picture and if it might be fake, but when we go back to that night, like when it was on June 24th, so when things happen. So you as a believer, because you think MJ, do you even believe like he actually that night, do you think it wasn't where it collapsed? Do you believe in that theory? Like, everything that happened in the room, do you believe that? Or you think there was something else that happened? Because the bodyguard was there, there's no video. That's another evidence as well. Well, I'm just trying to help you. There was no video actually for that night because that
That's
CCTV video, it
that's
disappeared.
scary though, Fon Christ, because why? We know MJ's property. MJ has cameras, cameras, cameras everywhere. He had one of the most secured properties when it came to security in the planet. And the strange part is his cameras recorded 24 hours a day. How is the last two, and this is one thing that I did research, how are the last 2 days of footage from the household from the 23rd and the 24th missing?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Even the footage of them leaving, coming and going to the house on the 23rd and the 24th was gone. The only time that we see footage of him coming back to the house on the 24th is footage that they released 10 years later. Why 10 years later? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I remember that because yeah, it's crazy. I remember the video as well when he was actually leaving. He was wearing that. Yeah, it's crazy because we never. I wish we have a pic. We never have anything, any video of people coming to his house or anything. I think the reason that they say something like, okay, they erased the picture or whatever. The tape got lost. That's very. I think they didn't wanna. They couldn't find another way to explain exactly what happened because it couldn't make any sense. Because I know it was a 2009. It was still a lot of paparazzi everywhere, like MJ fan, like Michael Jackson. Something happened like that. There was no picture of anything linking or anything. There was like nothing at all. That was kind of crazy. So that night, do you think it faked the story or that story really happened? Do you think it faked that
I,
story?
I,
The story really
I
happened?
can't hear you for a second. It broke up.
Yeah. I say, that night of June 24th, right? Do you think that really happened or he kind of faked the story? The story of Murray trying to give drug to Michael Jackson and everything. Do you think that really happened?
The story says it really happened, but it didn't actually happen. That didn't actually happen. They wanted the image to be out there that MJ was an intravenous drug user. Was that the MJ that you knew? Or any of the fans listening to this? Was that
No.
the MJ that we knew?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you wanted to fake his death, right, you have to make a story, right? A story that he's happy to
Right.
share. So that means maybe he's the one who actually wrote that story and wanted people to kind of remember him that way because the media, they don't want to say something without having any link or anything like that. They're not gonna come up with something like that unless he actually made because I remember Michael Jackson, for people who doesn't know, he used to sell fake story to the media, about him sleeping in an oxygen, bed, things like that. A lot of things he used to actually sell to the media, to the press. They used to say no, some he used to even say bad thing about himself just for that was his mentality. So if today, even if you want to make himself look like a drug addict, just so people can believe, because people believe what is shocking, and people believe in bad news. I mean, maybe that way it was going to be a little bit smoother for people to believe rather than just making a beautiful story. That's just my thought based on what you are actually telling me.
Right.
So do you think there was maybe a way for him to make that story of him being that person?
He actually did have a hand in planting that story, and it started way back at January 2009. And it started with that article that was released by the National Enquirer that said he had 6 months to live.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
all of a
that. That's
sudden,
scary, man.
6 months later,
That's scary. That
June
book.
25th.
Yeah, you know what? I never read that book, but that guy always scared me. I remember when the book came out, and that guy was crazy, man. He was saying a lot of things about MJ having a cancer, and the scary thing he said, he was gonna die. But everything that he said in that book, most of the thing was actually true. But the reason why I didn't want to buy the book, because I think I might buy it now. There was a lot of nasty stuff, is what I've been saying there, and
Yeah.
I don't know where he got that information. Maybe he got some link or anything. Have you read that book?
I have. I had to read it.
Really?
All a part of research, and in all honesty, I feel that that was a plant. That was definitely a plant because is that just a weird coincidence that they say that he had 6 months and then 6 months goes by exactly and then he just drops dead?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What a coincidence could that be?
Yeah, man. And then the guy, he was so confident. He even say after when Michael Jackson announced this is it, he even say like it's not gonna happen. He's gonna die before that, and that happened as well. I think he made part two after when Michael Jackson passed away. He made some investigation about his death and everything around, and the conspiration, the conspiracy as well. So there is a lot of thought around it. So for that night, do you think actually you were just like made up? So what do you think about Conor Murray? Hello? What do you think about Conor Murray?
It's breaking up again, Von
Yeah,
Christ.
what do you think about Conor Murray, the doctor?
Conrad Murray did his job. He played a role. Conrad Murray did his job, and his job was to be the fall guy for what actually happened on quote unquote June 25th. He was paid for that. He was paid to take the fall for that crime.
Yeah, but yeah, I think but he paid the price though. He paid the price because there was a lot of things about him. He lost his career, but they was kind of fair with him as well. He didn't spend all the year that they gave him. They only give him 3 years, right? It was 5 years. They give him three, and then I
Right.
think he only did 1.5. I think I don't know how many years he did in jail.
I believe he did 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah, 1.5 to 2 years. But this guy was so cold. That's the only thing that actually surprised me. He was like he didn't have no feeling. He was very cold and he didn't care really, but he sounded like somebody really more Michael Jackson. Do you think Michael Jackson believe him, like trust him, as he used to mention?
I don't think MJ trusted in him in a sense where they would be close friends, if you mean that. But I mean, MJ did trust him enough to actually aid him in what he needed him to do that particular day.
Oh yeah, I see that. Have you listened to that tape when he recorded Michael Jackson talking about children hospital and everything? Have you played that tape?
The tape where MJ is slurring,
Yeah.
I've heard the tape.
So what do you think?
I don't believe that is real either. I really don't. Another staged item.
Really? What would you think? What make you believe like that shouldn't be true? Like you don't believe in the information that you're saying there, or is it more like doesn't sound right to you?
It just doesn't sound right to me because anything that Conrad Murray has said publicly was to not only just make himself look like the innocent person, but he was also selling a story at the same time because the first thing he did, especially after he had the audio that you heard,
Yeah.
before it even made its way to a courtroom, the first thing he wanted to do was run to TMZ.
Yes.
TMZ was one of the first people to break this story.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
TMZ being the first person to break the story before any of the other news media knew about it. So it's like he knew where to go and who to give this audio to because why? It'll be more believable coming from TMZ. And they were one of the first people to have it.
Yeah, true that. I think he really was after money because he was after money. And the funny thing is, he even wanted to see Michael Jackson kids and to talk to them. That's why he didn't really sound creepy to me. And because when you look back, it's just crazy because he actually walked away without even paying for what he did. And but do you think because if Michael Jackson's fake his death, that mean he was trying to run away for something? That mean there is a bad guy in the picture, right? There must be a bad
It
guy.
definitely was.
So those people, do you think why would they keep that secret? If they really want to hurt his life, I'm sure they know about it. If like you and me can think about it this way, I'm sure those people they know about it.
I mean, there's a whole list of people that MJ had issues with that people don't even pay attention to. I mean, not even counting AEG, but of course you already know Tome.
Yeah,
He had his issues with Colony Capital and Sony, but then he also had overseas issue with Prince Khalifa as well, of the Prince of Bahrain. He
For
owed
real?
him over $8 million. He owed him over $8 million, and Prince Khalifa dragged him to London High Court to sue him for it. And that started bad blood between them also. So it's like the list of enemies that MJ was building up was just endless. Not only that, Paul McCartney hated his guts too.
Oh
Paul
yeah,
McCartney was Paul McCartney was planning on coming after him again to try to get the rest of that catalog, being that him and Sony split it 50-50, just
yeah,
so MJ could take ownership of Sony and their publishing.
yeah. But yeah, that's crazy, man. But what do you think about Quincy Jones? Because I feel like he's a kind of he's in the same picture as well. I feel like it is very snaky, you know.
Oh, I don't want to disrespect Quincy Jones, but after what he pulled recently, oh man,
What did you
he
post?
had he had nothing but negative though as of recent to say
I
about
think he's very
MJ,
jealous,
saying that
man.
MJ stole
That's always him.
songs and all of this stuff.
I feel like
That's
he's very
ridiculous.
jealous about him. Since he left him when he started, he went to do Dangerous album. I think he wasn't too happy about it. I think their beef, I think it started from there. Because I don't think he liked the fact when they say Michael Jackson have the best selling album, you want to make sure you have all the credit. Like, oh, it's because of me, it's not because of him. And I think he hate the fact everywhere you go, people always connect him to Michael Jackson, not to the artist like he used to produce before. And he's like that make him feel a little bit small, Because if he's that big, they shouldn't just talk about Michael Jackson. They should talk about all the
Right.
that he produced as well. But for him, he always like Michael Jackson was like the top thing he ever done, and then since then, he haven't produced people in that type of level. I think they were just like two talented people. They just come together, just create magic. So yeah, I mean, I
That's the
agree with
proof.
you. There was a lot of people around his life that actually maybe some people they actually believe he did it. Maybe they kept the secret, but it's very hard when the kids was too young as well. It's crazy how nobody even the picture slipped somewhere. It's just everything just secret. Do you think if he's alive, do you think he's still in America?
No, he's not here in America.
Definitely not.
He's not here in America.
In Paris?
He's been out there. He was out there in not January, December 2019 with his sister. He was heard on audio. People may not believe me on it, and I don't expect them to, but you have to follow your own mind on it. But there was Janet Jackson's Instagram story that she posted in this early December 2019. And she's standing by the water watching dolphins, of course, and you can hear someone else obviously there with her. I'll put that video on my channel as well. That's something you guys could check out later if you want to
Yes,
hear it.
man. I'll put it
But
there.
you can hear him obviously, responding to what she's saying and saying, "Oh my God, there's more." And then he said this one word that actually stood out to me, and he said, "Good." And then I'm
Uh,
like, "Oh my God," the way he said it, I was like, I've heard it somewhere before, and I'm like, where I heard it before was in the Diane Sawyer interview that he did with Lisa Marie Presley,
yeah.
where just the way he put the emphasis on that word, and I'm like, there's no way in hell that was not him in that story with Janet Jackson.
Do you have any other link, like any other evidence like, in terms of linking pictures, like you say, like with Janet Jackson, with the voice and everything? Have you ever see anything else online as well?
I
Like,
have
like
Omer or Omar Batty, the one that they call Michael's secret love child.
Omaru?
Omar Betty or Omar Batty. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah. I know him. Yeah.
Yes, he's another one. He also had something posted to his story in February 2019 where he showed a person standing on the beach that appeared to be MJ. And I think that was done intentionally. I don't even know if he did that intentionally just to play with us or intentionally in the sense that he wanted us to see that and keep believing in this.
But do you think that? Do you believe like MJ have like like a secret son or something? Because everybody think about it like he must have a child somewhere. Like I know the child. Sorry, like people used to think about this guy. I forgot his name. And how do you? Or I forgot his
Oh,
name.
B. Howard?
Yes. I see a lot of hype about this guy because there was a podcast in France last month. People was talking a lot about it. So there was like people was asking if he's Joe Jackson's son or if he's Michael Jackson's secret child. Have you ever done anything about it? I
No,
think
but my viewers have been asking me to research that. But he looks like him. No, I'm not gonna deny it. There's no denying that he looks like him. But of course, anybody can, be light skinned, fix their hair a certain way,
it looked like
and
Dave.
dress the part because we have so many people trying to impersonate him. So I'm not trying to say that he's not. No disrespect to B. Howard, but there's been no DNA test to prove it. But it
He
is
did
a
a
rumor that's
DNA,
been floating
but the
around for a
result
long
was
time.
kind of. He did a DNA, but there was not like official result because he was very defensive about it. I remember that time. And the only thing I feel, I'm always real, man. The only thing I don't like about him, but I feel like he tried a lot. He just tried to, even if you're Michael Jackson's son, you don't want to, like, you have a dad. If I put your dad with you, maybe you guys look alike, but you don't sound like your dad. You don't move your lips like your dad. You don't, you know, you cannot do everything like your dad. That's the thing. That's the only creepy things I found about it. The soft voice, the smooth part, the everything is just too MJ. And for me, that's that's not right. And some people they believe it's Joe Jackson child, son. But that's another story, I believe. Do you think that it might be?
I don't believe that's Joe Jackson's son. Oh man.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility. I mean, MJ was a ladies' man. Come on, the ladies loved MJ, so it's a possibility. MJ could have, slipped up and
Yeah, he got it from his
made a
father,
baby
man.
somewhere. You
He,
never
he
know.
got it from his father, man. Joe Jackson was a pimp.
Yeah,
It was bad, like Joe, I don't know. Maybe he got
seriously,
more girl than Michael Jackson. You never know. This guy was playing like, as soon as his son start making money, whew, he wasn't making a lot of money.
seriously, man.
Yes. So yeah, you went back there. You talking about the evidence. So yes. So there was evidence about it, that picture. And I heard something about Halloween as well. Like the Jackson, I know they always do house party, in every Halloween, every year. So you as a believer, I know you did a lot of investigation around the house and if somebody was there. I bet you made a video about it as well. Have you ever made a video about it?
Oh, about I believe it was somebody's. I can't remember whose wedding it was, but it was somebody's after wedding celebration or something of that nature that happened at the Jackson's old property,
Yeah.
2300 Jackson Street. And I remember seeing, I didn't actually do a video about it, but I did see a video where someone showed something that looked like MJ's near the property.
Mm.
I can't confirm that one though, because that's not something I researched, but I did see that and I was like, wow. I was like, it wouldn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I see what I mean. But do you believe like he's still like he come on Facebook sometimes talk to his fans or to trying to see what's up?
No. I've heard that though. I've heard he's been on Snapchat and he's been on Twitter and Facebook. Oh yeah, since I researched this topic, I do have a following. The guys will message me and say, "Oh well, I spoke to him on Facebook or Snapchat," and send me links to it, and I'm like, "Oh man," and I'm just like, and I don't doubt what they're saying, but for me personally, if I didn't research it and see that that was something real, I'm not gonna necessarily believe it.
Yeah,
And I
because
don't think he's actually on the internet.
there's
Even
a lot
before
of
MJ actually
people.
left, how
Yeah.
often did you hear about MJ hopping on the internet to talk to fans versus seeing his fans in public like he always did?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there actually pretend to be a Michael Jackson fan. They play really good, to be Michael Jackson, of course. They play really good and they make people believe and they put everything, money, time, and everything, effort. And they're actually saying people actually do believe it's actually him. Yes, so it's just crazy, man. People gotta be careful. That's why I believe, and even if he ever did that, I don't think he actually gonna come back. So how do you feel about the whole thing? Does it make you feel good, the fact like maybe he's not dead. Like
I mean, it's a good feeling to know that he is finally free and finally happy to have the life that he wants. But it's also not good to know that you're never gonna see him again.
yeah, but
Either way, I mean, it's like and I don't want to say the word dead, but it's like he's actually dead because you're not going to see him anymore, no matter how many ways we talk about
yeah,
him.
but
But we know,
you don't think that you're trying to hurt his legacy by trying to to try to put his secret out, like, to try to reach him when he actually fake his death to be in peace? Do you think what you guys doing, do you think is not like another way to hurt him indirectly? Yeah.
No, not necessarily us trying to hurt him, because it's just us as fans discussing the things that we noticed that didn't actually seem right after he did, quote unquote, pass. So that's just us actually researching and putting information out there amongst us fans. We already know that, of course, the news media is not going to believe none of what we're saying. So it's like, even if we said it, they're not going to believe it. So it would never tarnish his legacy. The only way it would tarnish his legacy is if there was, per se, a larger figure out there that does do the same research and they actually put something out there. But I know, like me being a small YouTuber, it wouldn't hurt his legacy. People do message me saying, "Oh, you're hurting his legacy," but I said I also am defending his legacy at the same time, because I also have done research about his legacy. Otherwise, that none of it was true.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, but what do you think about the Sony and everything, like the album? Because if today Michael Jackson trying to run away, I think there was because of there's certain bad people in his life, people that used to show us a lot, used to talk about the media, used to talk about Sony, and yeah. But what is your relationship with like those people? What is your thought? Like, what do you put yourself? Do you support everything that they do, or you more like, well, I don't know.
Well, as for Sony, I haven't supported anything that Sony has done in years. And it's just off of the strength that MJ let it be known that don't trust Sony. They're evil. I'm sorry. They're the devil. And it's not even just because of Tommy Mottola. I mean, it starts at the top and then it's a trickle effect and works its way down. So I'm sorry, if the head exec is evil, it makes the whole entire company appear that way to me. So it's been a long time since I supported anything that Sony has. I don't buy the electronics. There's some artists today that are really good that are on Sony, but I don't buy any of the music that Sony puts out there. None of it, because of what they put Michael Jackson through. I mean, it's horrible.
If somebody who is not a fan listen to you today is gonna say, you know what, oh, he's just one of those crazy guys. Because MJ used to be like a big artist. Because we have Michael Jackson, we got Tupac, we have not James Brown. Really, people don't really put him in that category. We have Elvis. So what difference does he make between those three, Elvis, Michael, and Tupac? What do we have to believe on Michael Jackson's story more than those two? Because I know there was a legend. That the reason why when a legend died, people don't want to believe it. They always create a story around his death. So what make Michael Jackson's story more realistic compared to other guys?
Well, I've heard the stories about Elvis Presley. I've never actually researched it, but I was like, wow. I was like, could this actually be real? Even and this is funny to say though, I first learned about the whole death hoax thing from my grandmother, because why, she used to buy the tabloids and all of that stuff where it was saying Elvis was alive and all of this stuff. And at first, I'm not going to deny it. Just like you said, people would think you're nuts, especially saying something like that out loud. And I wouldn't expect them to think otherwise. I mean, it's your own freedom of choice. But when it came to that, I was like, I'm not too sure about Elvis. But then again, it's a possibility, because just like Michael, he was one of the biggest stars of his time.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility that he could have. I mean, the way they said he died, I think they said he died on the toilet with a sandwich or something. I don't remember the story, but it's just an odd story. And I'm like, wait a minute, come on now. I was like, I know he was a big guy. He liked to eat and all of that stuff, but come on. He ate himself to death on the toilet is what they're trying to say, or whatever the hell this conspiracy theory was floating around. I said, really?
Really? I mean, because people always say that because you have Elvis, you have Tupac, and people say because those guys they was like big, and that's the reason why the conspiracy keep going. Because that's why you guys are pushing for Michael as well, because you believe like because he was Michael Jackson, he cannot die, and we have to make a story around it.
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of messages all the time, Found Price, where fans go, it's time to let him go. It's time to let that go. And I'm like, let what go? What, let go being a fan? Because just like I'm a fan, you're a fan as well. So it's like, what am I letting go? What? saying that he's alive or being a fan, because in the long run, no matter what I'm saying, whether he's alive, deceased, I'm still a fan.
Yeah. So what have you learned? I would say, what have you learned for the last 4 years about Michael Jackson that you didn't know? Because I know you do a lot of investigation. Like, there's anything that changed, anything that you think you knew and but you didn't know, or even your view. What have changed? What have you learned for the last 11 years?
I
Because I
mean,
mean,
over the last 11 years, I mean, is this related to the hoax, or is this just Michael Jackson general?
just Michael Jackson. Let's say Michael Jackson first now.
Something I didn't know. Let me see. Something I didn't know that I learned over the last 11 years about MJ.
Yeah.
Like, originally, I had no clue that MJ actually bought the Neverland Ranch just to get away from his parents, not because he wanted his own place. He just wanted to get away from them. I didn't know that. That's something I had learned while researching over the last 11 years. I thought he just wanted, this big grand place because, he was a kid on the inside and he didn't want to grow up. And, he had this old Peter Pan lingo that he was into. I thought it was all about that. But come to find out, MJ just wanted space because his parents coddled him. They did the same thing to Janet until Janet actually said, you know what? I got to get out of here. I love my parents, but bye. Got to
Yeah.
go.
I think Janet Jackson, I was talking to a friend about it yesterday. I think she got lucky because she wasn't from the Jackson 5. That's the reason why she becomes successful. Because if she start a career with the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson was gonna just absorb her. That's the reason why Jermaine is kind of have a little bit of fight with Michael, because before Michael Jackson joined the Jackson 5, what happened is Jermaine Jackson used to be the lead singer. He used to be the guy, like singing in front and everything. As soon as Michael Jackson joined,
Yeah.
it was like, man, and Joe knew like this kid have a great voice. I gotta put him on the front, and that's when Michael took Jermaine Jackson's spot, and then the beef started from there.
That's the king claiming his throne. That's all that was. I mean, I as much as I love Jermaine, of course, but that was the king claiming his spot at an early age. He knew he was destined for greatness. He knew it at a young age. He knew it.
Yeah, he knew it. But the thing is, as soon as yeah, because MJ actually took his place, and then he was actually singing and being on the front and everything. And everyone that was going to the show, and then the way they was introducing the Jackson, it was more like, oh yeah, we have Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. Like he used to hate that. He used to hate that because that's why they used to introduce them, Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5. So yeah, it's just crazy. But what have you learned from?
Diana Ross started that one, though. Oh, man.
Yeah. What have you learned from?
Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. Like, how did you do that? Why did you do that? Come on. We're a group here. You're trying to make us look like we're the backup singers, like we're Gladys Knight and the Pips. Like, come on. Like, it's 5 of us. It's not him and 4 others. It's 5 of us. Come on. But yeah, that was Diana Ross's doing, though, with that one saying Michael Jackson and Jackson 5. I'm like, really?
And it got worse when Michael did what do you call it? When he started doing the solo, when he started dancing doing the Billie Jean, and things just got that, man. This guy just want to shine on his own. And when he decided to leave the Jackson 5, that was just like, the group just, the Jackson, they tried, but they couldn't succeed because MJ was so powerful. It's the same thing that happened when you think about the Destiny Child as well with Beyonce. It's a kind of the same story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she was like a lead singer, and then her voice was so great. When she went, things just changed. And back to Mike now. So what have you learned about his death? Something that you didn't know before? If I say to you, like, for the last 11 years, what is the biggest? I know you believe is fake his death, but what is the biggest, like, things that actually trigger you? Like, oh my God, I didn't know about this. Since you do your investigations, so what have you learned that actually make you think like, oh shit, this is big? Well, something that you can share, of course.
Now, since he's passed, one of the things that I can say I did learn was he was big on family. He was big on his family. And the
Yeah.
one thing that I can honestly say, and not just him being a father, but big on family in general. But of course, over time, and this is something I didn't know originally before he passed, that, people were keeping him from his family and trying to bogart his family from actually coming to see him on his own property. And they
Yeah.
were blaming him for it. I had no clue about that. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that does not sound like him at all. Why would he push his family away when his family is his biggest supporters and he supports them more than anything? He's
Yeah.
never been one to turn his back on his family. And the stories that I heard were, who was it that they said was ordering it? Tome,
Yeah.
Dr. Tome, as they say, was pretty much pushing those orders out, saying to not let his family in and blaming MJ, saying, oh, well, Mr. Jackson doesn't want you here. And they're like, Mr. Jackson? What do you mean? Mr. Jackson? Like, you're referring to him as Mr. Jackson as if we're not Jacksons as well. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly. I have a story. My friend, we were talking about it last time. I think it's like, he have like, myself, I believe like he loved his family, but I don't think the relationship was, he loved his family, but he didn't like the way they used to give him the love back, because he was Michael Jackson. He had a lot of money. He was successful. He loved his family, but the family didn't see him as that kid from, that grew up with them. They didn't see him like that. They see him like a big star. We have a lot of money. Who is like powerful. And I feel like, I'm honest, man. I'm saying that for me, not for you, right? I see like his brother
Right,
and most of the people in his family, they was trying to just like get things from him. Actually, like a lot of people. That's what they were trying to do, and they were just trying to make the most of every opportunity that they could have with Michael Jackson. That's the reason why he was kind of reserved with his family. He used to love his mom a lot, like his mom, he was probably the only person that was allowed to come to his house without, asking. Because I've read
right,
somewhere, and whatever in his family member, when they was coming to his house, they have to book appointment. You cannot just walk in and just come and see him. Sometime I think it was Randy Jackson. He went to his house and they actually they tell him like, okay, Mr. Jackson don't want to see you, and he just went crazy, you know. And they did the same with Joe
I
Jackson as well.
remember that.
They did the same with Joe Jackson, but the Joe Jackson story is different, because the Joe Jackson, it was more like, because when he used to be in his own life, he used to control everything. And the fact they wanted to control Michael Jackson, they're trying to turn him against his father, to try to push him away. That's the reason why they got him, because his father wasn't around, because his brother, I don't think his
Right,
brother really wanted to protect him. They didn't see him as like Joe could see. He was all great, big guy, whatever, powerful, but he needed protection for people he could trust. That's what Michael Jackson needed in his life. He wanted his brother to be more like his protection, rather than just being a brother. You know what they did during the,
right,
yeah, when they went to the court, they was all there. The Jackson was there. They showed like the, family power and everything. That was great. That's kind of attitude. I believe that's what Michael Jackson wanted from his family during his whole career, but he didn't get it. That's why he preferred to just stay on his own. And when you have money, just give them and just leave me alone. That's what I think. Because when you think about like Jermaine Jackson, he's the one that introduced MJ to Tome as well. And
that's
he
true.
wrote a book. He never talked about it in his book. And he never talked about Tome at all, even one time. But that guy, he played a big part of Michael Jackson's life, like especially in the last moment of his life. That's on me, right before he be in trouble. So yeah, he played a lot of big
Right,
part
right.
of his life. But Jermaine Jackson never said anything about it. He wrote a book. He had an interview, and he never said anything. He never even like went to the court trying to sue this guy. Never anything. So just to show you how there was a lot of business in the family as well. Janet Jackson is different, because she have her own career. She built everything on her own, so she was more apart. And yeah, that's just my take, man. That's what I believe. So yeah, so that's why you have learned. You said, right, for the last 11 years. So do you think it was more people that pushed him away from his family, right?
I'm
That's what.
sorry?
Do you think it's more people trying to push him away from his family?
I mean, there was a whole team of people that he actually had around him that actually pushed him away from his family, that was helping with his whole bad, what I call bad business decisions, because I'm sorry, they were putting business ahead of what he considered his family and the
Yeah,
people that are his family. Everything was all about business for them. Like this whole thing with Dr. Tomei, everything that MJ did, he controlled, booking appointments, writing checks, signing contracts. It was so many different things that he was doing under his name, controlling anything that MJ did. So it's like, I don't think that MJ actually wanted that. He was scared though, and he couldn't control it, because it's not like he was this tough guy that I'll kick your ass sort of guy. You know, you messing with me. All he could do is, oh wow, this guy's picking on me. And what's the first thing he did? He called Reverend June Gatlin. He
yeah,
ended up calling her to vent about it and to say
yeah,
that this man is pushing me away from my family. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, how are you letting him do this to you? Like, how are you letting him do it? But I can understand, because MJ was a vulnerable person,
yeah.
and
Trust the
that
wrong people,
vulnerability caused him to get taken advantage of in the worst way possible.
for real. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly, man, exactly. What can I say? I think everything that we've been saying today make a lot of sense. Just for people to know, the reason why certain people they believe Michael Jackson fake his death is not because they're stupid, it's not because they are no fans. It's just because those people they love Michael Jackson as well, but sometimes you just see things a different way. And when you love somebody, you know the person, and when something is wrong, you can actually see that, when especially they don't play with a lot of emotion. That's the reason why I respect you guys. I used to like hate Believer, fight with you guys, but now I feel like there's a lot of sense in whatever you guys saying. I'm not saying I'm 100%,
Right.
but I still got a doubt. So for before we finish, there's a last part I want to talk about is what do you call it again? The name on the grave. So do you think
Wow.
the name on the grave? What do you think about the whole thing? Like same people, is he
That's
actually?
an interesting one, being that the main grave that they quote unquote have him entombed in doesn't have a name on it, which I find oddly strange. I mean, I understand it's MJ, but come on now. And then on top of that, there's two different sightings within Forest Lawn where you could actually visit MJ. There's the one where they allow us fans to go, and the ones they don't allow us to go to.
Why they don't allow us to go?
At Forest Lawn Memorial Park,
I
there's
see.
two different grave sites. One where our, us, the fan base, and regular fans or people can visit, and then there's the one that's totally pushed off in the other direction that none of us can actually have access to.
I didn't know about that one. But how can you have
Hmm.
two graves? It doesn't make any sense.
It makes sense, and that's something that I had learned when calling Forest Lawn, because they don't have a problem telling you when you call. That's the
So,
one thing, they don't have a problem telling you when you call.
so yeah, I know there's a lot of people actually trying to call them and asking, yeah, I want to see Michael Jackson name or whatever. I see a lot of things. But why is the purpose to have two? Is it like two grave or is it just like one is more symbolic for people to go and just, give their respect? The other one is the real one for just for the family. You think is that?
Yeah, it's one that's supposed to be just for the family, and then one that's for us to actually visit, because they don't want anyone too close to what's supposed to be MJ there. For, you know how fans are, they'll go crazy and, oh my god, and then they want to take him with them, and what are you going
Yo,
to take?
I'll tell you
Yeah,
something, man.
they would
I'll tell
probably,
you, listen,
I'm not saying that they would do it,
I
but
will
it's a
tell you something.
possibility.
You know what?
Take his corpse,
I will tell you
being
something.
obsessed.
I will tell you something scary. There was I don't know if you
Well,
see the video. There was like an artist in Africa, right? He was a big artist. He's a young guy. He passed away,
mhm.
and people, his fans, those are MJ fans, they didn't believe that actually that is dead. They show his body during the
Oh
memorial,
wow.
right? They show his body during the memorial. God, and they took the body to go, to this, to bury him, like to bury him, and what happened is, oh my God, an hour after when he got buried, they opened it. They opened
They
everything.
opened it, right?
They opened the fucking case. And guess what? They took the body out.
See?
They took the body out and they took his clothes out. They wanted to check his chest to see if he had the same tattoo. I'm like, this is crazy, and this is real. The video was online for real,
Oh, I
man.
believe that.
Yeah. And when I see that, I
Wow.
was like, nah, this can't be true. Like this is crazy. This is
And
crazy.
that's exactly what they're afraid of at Forest Lawn. If his body is actually at Forest Lawn, they're worried that fans, if they're allowed to that area, somebody's going to find the nerve to actually open it up and try to get him out and
Yeah.
see if that's actually him.
When I see that, I was like, man, this is crazy. And how can somebody do that? They actually open it and then they took the body out. People was, oh my God, screaming. I was like, this is exactly what Michael Jackson fans could do. Some of them, they could do that if they give them like, opportunity to see the things. That was crazy, man. I understand why there's a lot of protection because people, when they're obsessed about somebody, they can do a lot of crazy things, man. Like
Hell yeah.
that was crazy, you know.
That's
Um,
scary though. I wouldn't even want to do something like that. That's a little scary.
yeah, for real. Is anything that you want to say before we wrapping up, like something that you want to share and you want fans to know, like about believers? First of all, two things about believer, about you guys. I know you don't describe yourself as a believer, but in general, for people who actually do a lot of research like yourself, so what do you want people to know about you guys? Like, what do you want to say to fans?
Well, I do want to say that besides the whole researching the death hoax and being a quote unquote believer, as we're called, I also am one to also put out there information about MJ's legacy, his innocence. I mean, I've done so many different series on it. I've done 5 different videos. One series called "Let the Truth Be Told," which exposed a lot of the lies of Leaving Neverland, or Lying Neverland, as the MJ fan community base calls it. Like, I also did something called "The Legacy of Michael Jackson," which you had seen. I had did 3 volumes of that. We have more coming of that. Like, this is the one thing that I do want people to know is I'm all about defending MJ's legacy more than anything else. That's the most important thing outside of any other research I've done, is to actually make sure that we know that MJ is innocent. That's the most important thing of it all, outside of the whole death hoax and outside of everything that I've done. MJ's innocent. MJ's innocent. MJ's innocent.
Yeah, I mean that's good, man. That's the what we need to know, and I feel like what Michael Jackson we want as well for us to spread his legacy and what he was about, about love, about the planet and all these things. So that's the thing. So about your work, there's anything that you wanna say? If people wanna join you, where can they go and Michael
All
Jackson
right, guys. You can
working?
reach me on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am just Mr. P on YouTube, or you can search Mr. P21. You can find me there, and you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at just underscore Mr. P.
All right. Do you actually are you working on something right now? Like your
I
podcast?
actually am working on something.
The podcast is just about what I mean, because I know like is Moonwalker podcast. That's the thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
We also have our podcast that we're working on, and we have 2 projects coming up that are also Jackson related.
yeah. Oh, that's it. That's good, man. You guys don't talk about just like orcs. Do you talk about everything, right?
We talk about everything.
Okay, I saw one
Everything.
of the videos. It's dope, man. Yeah. So do you actually watch Paris Junior videos as well? Because she's one of the she's out there when it comes to believers videos and orcs videos. She do things every day all the time. Do you watch her videos?
I
You guys do
followed
something
her first DVD that she released 11 years ago, the Alive 1 DVD.
I
I
was
haven't seen much
yeah.
else, but I know she's on social media.
Yo, she's very active. I actually never see somebody so consistent. Like she gonna make you wanna buy her video because you're gonna see that every day. If you post a comment, she's gonna post back with the link, and then I have a lot of small fight with her, but she's good at what she do. I always talk with a lot of people. Even she said, "Listen to me now," she gonna know. Like, yeah, I like her consistency. I know she love Michael Jackson, but yeah, I used to fight a lot with her as well sometimes, but it's what it is, man. It's so love.
I'm surprised you two haven't spoken as of yet because I see that she follows you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because when I
Oh,
went to follow you, I was like, oh wow, she follows him. I was like, so I know I found the right person.
oh God, you got you guys. Oh man, you guys love details, man. Actually, I didn't know like she followed me on Instagram. Really?
Yeah,
Oh
on
God,
your Fun Fitness page.
really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I know I have it on Facebook. Facebook is different. Facebook, like friends is friends. You know, like you add me, we together. Right? Instagram is more like I decide to follow. Oh, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, I think I know her. I mean, I mean, she's one of those. I mean, the reason why we start talking, fighting, because I was really against believer all the time, and she's very like she was like all the time. I went crazy on her sometime, but she's very consistent, and I would love to talk to her one day. Actually, to be honest, I might invite her to one of my podcasts. That should be good.
That would
Yeah,
be awesome.
yeah, she's
Definitely.
she's good at whatever she's doing, and we all do our bit. She believe whatever she believes. It's so good, man. But she's very very consistent. I never
Oh yeah.
bought one of her book, but I don't know if it's a video or a book, but I always trigger me what is inside because she always make it looks like there's something there that you don't know. But yeah, you know.
I mean, I hear the things from other viewers. They always go, "Oh my God, I love you and Pearl. Oh my God, you and Pearl are just alike. Oh my God, you too." And I'm like, I love that. I was like, I love that because she's a big media figure here in the U.S. So to hear that they look at my stuff just the way they look at hers, it's exciting to know.
Yeah, she's very she was lucky to see a lot to see most of the Jackson family as well. She saw a few people, but she's good at what she's doing. So I love you, by the way, before we fight again. Anyway, so thank you
It's
for
all
having
for
me
love.
today. Is anything else you want to say before you go? It was very good to talk about this subject, and it's my first time to really open up about it. And I appreciate the fact you come today to, talk about things the way you feel, and all these things. I hope certain people they're gonna not change their mind, but just like see things a little bit different, and then maybe stop judging you guys and thinking that you guys are crazy. And this is one of the purpose that I've made this podcast. Is not just it's not actually for make people believe Michael Jackson stay alive. It's just like for people to understand a little bit your mindset and why you guys think that way. That's the reason I actually want to. I've done it. So if you guys want to get in touch with him, he's actually on YouTube. He do a podcast. He do a lot of things. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Don't worry, I will put all the details about how to get in touch with him if you guys love Michael Jackson and want to get, even if you're not a believer, you can still be in touch with him because you do a podcast with MJ Fine. You talk about anything related to Michael Jackson, so you guys can always be in touch with him as well. He doesn't work on his own as well, so he works actually two of them, so you can join them and then have fun. So before we
Oh
finish,
yeah.
anything else you want to say before I wrap it up?
Uh, yeah. Thank you for having me on your podcast today. I mean, it's an amazing experience getting to chat with you. And I still am saying thank you again for joining us on our podcast. I mean,
So good,
your
man.
interview is coming out soon, so
Is it tonight?
we're excited for
Tomorrow?
that.
Is it tomorrow? It's coming out.
It's coming out March 28th.
Yeah,
But I'm
man.
thinking though, the way the fans are asking, could you release it earlier? I'm thinking
You need,
about
I think
putting
you
it
need
out
to do a little
as
bit
soon
of
as I finish.
I think you need to do a little snap or something, just like for a few seconds, or you should do that. It's good. It makes people want.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I can't wait. I think you should do that, like a little part, just like to tease people, like this is coming.
but do like a little teaser or something.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, I know you're good at it. I was expecting, but I'm surprised you haven't done it. But just like you should add a little something.
I was trying to keep the viewers in suspense of what you actually said
Oh,
during
okay.
our
Yeah,
podcast that we did. But
yeah.
they're asking like, what was said? What was said? Oh, can I message him? I was like, he's not going to discuss it because it's coming out on the podcast, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so you guys make sure you guys check his podcast. We had a discussion about what happened behind the scene the June 20, I mean not June 25th, sorry, during the London conference. So, I break down a lot of things. So you guys, if you guys like it, I'll make sure I'm gonna put a link when it is released. I'm gonna update the link and put everything about the podcast as well. So thank you for having you today, and I wish you the best, man, for everything that you're doing, and thank you to trying to get in touch with me as well. I was so surprised to get your message, and for those you guys who doesn't know, and like me, and Darius, that's how you call yourself. We actually he was trying to look like to find my name online, and then he sent me a message because he wanted to talk about you know what happened in London during the conference. So he just sent me a message, and then he just turned out as he's a really nice guy, and then we made a podcast, and today we're here, man. So thank you for the time. I think it just is a coincidence, and things happen sometime without even planning, and this is a really good time to do
Hey,
things.
definitely.
We had a lot of time and everybody's not really working and we have time to do what we want to do. So I really want to thank you for that. And yeah, thank you for everything. I'm looking forward to work with you again and to do part 2 for the podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, man. So God bless you and you take care, right?
You also. All right,
Yeah.
Fon Christ.
Before we finish, can you sing? If you look like somebody can sing, can you sing, right?
Ooh, I wish.
Oh, really? You cannot sing? Oh,
Oh man,
look
I
like
wish I
somebody
could
can sing.
sing.
I would expect something like, okay, we was gonna wrap it up with some acapella, but I don't want to embarrass you here. I cannot sing myself.
Yeah, they don't want to hear my scratchy voice, you know.
All right, man. So God bless you and thank you for today. And yes, that was Better Yourself podcast with Fun Christ. And today was a very beautiful day. Thank you.